chaos unfold on the screens before him. His ship hung in space near the massive council station, a small vessel compared to the giants that surrounded it. The Meridian had a crew of only 30 humans, all trained for diplomatic missions. They had been delivering trade agreements when the Kresh Declaration arrived. Lieutenant Amy Chen walked up beside him, holding a data pad. Her face showed no emotion, but Jake knew her well enough to see the tension in her shoulders. They had served together for 5 years, first on colony ships and now in the diplomatic corps. The full message just came through, Amy said quietly. The Kresh want Earth's 4 outer colonies. They want us to pay yearly tribute of resources. They want human ships to stay out of 7 sectors. And they want our answer in 72 hours. Jake took the pad and read through the demands. The Kresh had made similar demands to 47 other species over the past 800 years. Every single one had agreed. The alternative was total war with the most feared military force in the known galaxy. What happens if a species refuses? Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. No one has ever refused, Amy replied. The Kresh destroyed 3 civilizations who tried to resist in the early years. After that, everyone just agrees to their terms. It's cheaper than fighting. Dr. Ben Foster entered the observation deck carrying his own datapad. The xenobiologist looked excited rather than worried, which Jake found oddly comforting. Ben had a habit of getting enthusiastic about the strangest things. I've been reading through the Kresh biological profiles, Ben said, his words coming fast. They're impressive predators. They come from a planet with twice Earth's gravity. Their homeworld has megafauna that makes Earth's dinosaurs look small. The Kresh evolved as pack hunters who brought down prey 10 times their size. That's supposed to make us feel better? Amy asked. It's information, Ben shrugged. Humans like information. The Kresh are 7 feet tall on average. They have scales that can stop most small arms fire. Their bite force can crush steel. They see in infrared. They can go 3 weeks without food. They're built for extended campaigns. Jake watched the council screens as various ambassadors argued with each other. The insectoid Vreen were clicking their mandibles in agitation. The aquatic Drell were bubbling in their water tanks. The crystalline shardmind representatives were chiming in harmonic frequencies that the translators struggled to interpret. Everyone had an opinion, and most of those opinions suggested humanity should surrender immediately. The council thinks we'll fold, Jake observed. Of course they do, Amy said. We've only been in galactic society for 3 years. We have 12 colony worlds and maybe 300 ships that could be called military vessels. The Kresh have 800 worlds and a fleet of over 10,000 warships. The math isn't complicated. Math isn't everything, Jake said quietly. His second officer gave him a sharp look. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we should accept their invitation to negotiate, Jake said. Send a reply. Tell the Kresh we'd be honored to meet with them to discuss their proposal. Suggest a neutral location, make it polite. Ben's eyes widened. You want to meet with them? They're predators, right? Jake turned to face his crew members. Predators respect certain behaviors. They understand territory and hierarchy. If we roll over immediately, we look weak. If we refuse outright, we look stupid. But if we engage on our terms, professionally and calmly, maybe we learn something useful. Amy was already typing on her datapad. The council has a neutral meeting station in the Epsilon sector. It's designed for exactly this kind of negotiation. Full sensor coverage, weapons prohibited by treaty. Neutral ground. Perfect, Jake nodded. Send the message. Use the formal diplomatic protocols. Thank them for their communication. Express our interest in finding a mutually beneficial solution. Invite their senior commander to dinner. Dinner? Ben blinked. You want to have dinner with the Kresh? Humans bond over food, Jake said with a slight smile. And I want to see how they react to a dinner invitation. It'll tell us something about how they think. Amy sent the message before she could second-guess the decision. Within 30 minutes, they had a response. War Commander Thrax himself would attend the meeting. He would bring an honor guard of 6 warriors. The meeting would take place in 2 days at the neutral station. The Galactic Council erupted in confusion. Species from across known space sent messages to the human delegation, asking what they were planning. The Vreen ambassador requested an urgent meeting. The Drell offered to mediate. The Shardmind simply asked if humans understood what they were doing. Jake ignored most of the messages. Instead, he called his senior staff to the conference room. Besides Amy and Ben, he brought in Lieutenant Ryan Cooper, the tactical officer, and Sam Peters, the security chief. His small command team gathered around the table, waiting for orders. "We have 2 days to prepare," Jake began. "Ryan, I want everything we have on Kresh military tactics. Battle records, fleet movements, strategic patterns. I want to know how they think when they fight." Ryan nodded. "I'll pull the files. The Kresh are aggressive but methodical. They prefer overwhelming force, they don't do subtle. Sam, I want security protocols for the meeting," Jake continued. "We'll be unarmed by treaty, but I want you to survey that station. Know every exit, every system, every advantage." "Understood," Sam said. The security chief was a compact woman who moved like a coiled spring. "I'll take a team over there tomorrow for advanced preparation." "Ben, keep studying their biology," Jake said. "I want to know what intimidates them, what they respect, what they fear." "Kresh don't fear anything," Ben replied. "That's their reputation." "Everything fears something," Jake said firmly. "Find out what." He turned to Amy. "I want you to prepare a full briefing on human military history. Nothing classified, nothing secret. Just the publicly available records. Every major conflict from the 20th century forward." Amy frowned. "Why would we show them that?" "Because knowledge is a weapon," Jake said. "And I want them to understand what they're dealing with before this goes any further. The Kresh think they know what predators are. They think they're at the top of the food chain because they're big and strong and have sharp teeth. They've never met a species like us." "What makes us different?" Ryan asked. Jake leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant. "The Kresh hunt in packs. They use strength in numbers. They're ambush predators who strike fast and hard. That works fine on their world. But Earth produced a different kind of hunter." He looked at each of his officers in turn. "Humans are endurance predators. We don't sprint after our prey. We follow it. For hours, for days, until it collapses from exhaustion. We track, we plan, we coordinate, we use tools, we adapt. And most importantly, we never stop until the hunt is over." "You want them to know that?" Amy said slowly. "I want them to understand that politeness isn't weakness," Jake replied. "I want them to see that humans are happy to talk, happy to negotiate, happy to find peaceful solutions. But I also want them to understand that if they push us, if they mistake our preference for diplomacy as an inability to fight, they're making a fatal error in judgment." Sam leaned forward. "You're not planning to surrender?" "No," Jake said simply. "I'm planning to hunt, politely." The meeting ended with clear assignments. His crew dispersed to their tasks, moving with the efficiency of people who had worked together for years. Jake remained in the conference room, staring at the star maps on the wall. The Kresh Empire was vast, spreading across hundreds of light years. Humanity's territory was tiny by comparison, a small cluster of worlds on the edge of civilized space. But size wasn't everything. Earth had taught humanity many lessons over the millennia. One of the most important was that the biggest predator wasn't always the most dangerous. Sometimes the most dangerous predator was the one you didn't see coming, the one who smiled and talked and seemed reasonable right up until the moment it was too late. Jake pulled up the message he would send to Earth Command. They needed to know what was happening. They needed to authorize his plan. But he was confident they would understand. Humanity hadn't spread across 12 worlds by being timid. They had survived ice ages, world wars, and near-extinction events. They had faced every challenge their home world could throw at them and emerged stronger each time. The Kresh were about to learn a valuable lesson. When you threaten humanity, you're not threatening politicians or diplomats or peaceful traders. You're threatening a species of cooperative hunters who spent 200,000 years becoming the most dangerous predators their planet ever produced. A species that learned long ago that the key to successful hunting wasn't strength or speed. It was patience, planning, and the willingness to pursue your prey until it had nowhere left to run. The neutral station hung in the empty space between territories, a place where no one held power. It was a sphere of metal and glass, built by the Galactic Council specifically for meetings between hostile parties. The dining hall occupied the center of the station, a large room with transparent walls that looked out into the void of space. Every species in the galaxy could observe what happened here through the public feeds. Captain Jake Morrison arrived exactly on time. He wore his dress uniform, clean and simple with no weapons visible. Lieutenant Amy Chen walked beside him, carrying a datapad and wearing her own formal attire. Dr. Lisa Grant, their cultural liaison, came third. Security Chief Sam Peters brought up the rear, her hands empty, her expression calm. They looked like any diplomatic team, professional and prepared. The creche were already waiting. War Commander Thrax stood in the center of the room, towering over the furniture. He was 7 feet of muscle and scale, his eyes reflecting the station lights in infrared spectrum. His armor was ceremonial but functional, marking him as a commander of the highest rank. 6 creche warriors flanked him, each one nearly as large as their leader. They wore full battle dress, weapons removed but armor intact. The sight was meant to intimidate. Jake walked forward without hesitation. He kept his pace steady, his expression open and friendly. When he reached speaking distance, he stopped and inclined his head in a gesture of respect. "War Commander Thrax," Jake said, his voice clear and warm. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. This is Lieutenant Amy Chen, Dr. Lisa Grant, and Chief Sam Peters. We're honored by your presence." Thrax stared down at the human captain. His reptilian features were difficult to read, but his body language spoke of confidence bordering on contempt. "You waste time with pleasantries, human. We are here to discuss your surrender." "We're here to discuss the situation," Jake replied, his smile never wavering. "Please, won't you sit? We've arranged food according to the dietary preferences in your species profile. I thought we might talk over a meal. In human culture, breaking bread together is a sign of good faith." The war commander glanced at his warriors, then back at Jake. After a moment, he moved to the table. His bulk made the furniture seem small. His guards took positions around the room, standing rather than sitting. Jake and his team settled into chairs across from Thrax, completely at ease. Servers, automated systems not affiliated with any species, brought out platters of food. The creche dishes were raw meat from approved animal sources, prepared according to their customs. The human food was simpler, prepared meals that required no special attention. Thrax looked at the food but didn't touch it. "You show no fear," Thrax observed. His voice was deep, resonating from a chest built for roaring across vast distances. "Your species is new to the galaxy. You have limited military strength. You face demands from an empire that has never been defeated, yet you show no fear. Should we be afraid?" Jake asked. He leaned forward slightly, his posture engaged and interested. "I'm genuinely curious. In your experience, what typically happens at these meetings?" The question caught Thrax off guard. His eyes narrowed. "Other species plead. They offer more than we demand, hoping to avoid conflict. They show submission." "Interesting," Dr. Lisa Grant interjected. She had been taking notes on her datapad, her fingers moving quickly. "So the fear response is expected? You use overwhelming presence to trigger submission behavior. It's actually quite efficient from a resource standpoint. Why fight if you can win through intimidation?" Thrax stared at the doctor. "You analyze this as if observing animals. All behavior is worth studying," Lisa replied with genuine enthusiasm. "The creche have a remarkable success rate. 47 species have accepted your terms without fighting. That suggests either superior military might or superior psychological tactics. Probably both. Your culture clearly understands the value of reputation." Amy Chen added her own observation. "The pattern is consistent. You target younger species, those with fewer than 50 worlds. You demand tribute that's significant but not crippling. You avoid overreach. It's actually quite sustainable. Each species you subjugate adds resources to your empire, which makes you stronger for the next expansion. The system works." War Commander Thrax found himself in unfamiliar territory. These humans weren't begging. They weren't offering concessions. They were analyzing his empire's strategy with academic detachment. "You understand what we offer you, yet you analyze instead of submit?" "We're trying to understand your perspective," Jake said. Tell me about your homeworld, Commander. I've read that Kresh Prime has gravity twice that of Earth. The predators there are massive, dangerous. Your species evolved hunting creatures that could kill you with a single blow. That must have shaped your entire culture. Something in Jake's tone made Thrax want to respond. It wasn't fear or submission, but it was respect, recognition of strength. Kresh Prime is a world of giants. The weak die young. Only the strong survive to breed. We learned to hunt in packs, to coordinate our attacks, to bring down prey larger than ourselves. It made us what we are. Cooperation in the face of greater threats, Jake nodded. Humans have a similar story, though our path was different. We evolved on planes where we weren't the biggest or fastest. We couldn't overpower our prey, so we learned to outlast it. We tracked animals for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to communicate, to plan, to work together more effectively than any other species on our world. Ben Foster, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Commander, can I ask about Kresh hunting traditions? Do you hunt for sport, or is it purely survival-based? Both, Thrax replied, finding himself drawn into the conversation despite his intentions. A Kresh warrior must prove himself in the hunt. We track dangerous prey alone or in small groups. It tests our strength, our courage, our skill. How long does a typical hunt last? Ben asked, making notes. Hours. Sometimes a full day if the prey is clever. A day, Ben repeated, nodding. Humans have records of persistence hunts lasting 3 days. The prey would run, rest, run again. The human hunters would follow at a steady pace, never stopping, never resting for long. Eventually, the prey would be too exhausted to continue. The human would simply walk up and make the kill. Thrax's scales rippled, a sign of discomfort. 3 days is excessive. It's patient, Jake corrected gently. Humans learned early that patience is a weapon. We're not built for quick kills. We're built for long campaigns. Amy Chen pulled up a star map on her datapad, turning it so Thrax could see. We've been studying Kresh expansion patterns. Over 800 years, you've brought 47 species under your control. Your territory has grown by approximately 3.7% per decade. You consolidate holdings before expanding further. You avoid species that might actually fight back effectively. You claim we fear combat? Thrax's voice carried an edge. No, Amy replied calmly. I'm saying you're strategic. You pick battles you can win with minimal losses. It's smart. Earth history is full of empires that overextended and collapsed. The Kresh Empire is stable because you're patient and methodical. But it also means you haven't fought a true war in over 200 years, Dr. Lisa Grant added. Most of your military experience is occupation and pacification. You're very good at intimidation. How good are you at actual combat against a peer opponent? The question hung in the air. Thrax's warriors shifted position slightly, responding to the subtle challenge in Lisa's words. But she had asked it with such academic curiosity that it was hard to take direct offense. Humans are not peer opponents, Thrax stated firmly. Maybe not, Jake agreed. But that's what we're here to discuss. You've made your demands. We need to understand what happens if we choose a different path. There is no different path, Thrax said. You submit or we destroy you. Have you ever actually had to destroy a species? Sam Peters asked. She had been silent throughout the meeting, standing casually near the door. Now her voice cut through the conversation with cold precision. The files say 3 species were destroyed in the early years of Kresh expansion. But that was 600 years ago. Since then, everyone has submitted. You haven't fought an extinction war in centuries. Thrax stood abruptly, his full height suddenly dominating the room. You question Kresh martial ability? I'm asking for information, Sam replied, not moving from her position. If we choose to fight, what actually happens? Do you have experience with prolonged warfare? With asymmetric combat? With enemies who don't meet you in open space for honorable battle? Jake remained seated, watching Thrax carefully. The war commander was angry now. His scales flushed dark with emotion. But underneath the anger, Jake saw something else. Uncertainty. Thrax was a warrior from a culture of warriors, but he had never actually been tested. Not really. He had spent his career intimidating weaker species and occupying conquered worlds. Commander, Jake said quietly, drawing Thrax's attention back to him. I want to be very clear about something. Humans respect the Kresh. Your species has built an impressive empire. Your warriors are formidable. Your reputation is well earned. We acknowledge all of that. Thrax's anger cooled slightly, waiting for the inevitable surrender. But humans have a saying, Jake continued. We say that respect and fear are different things. We respect you. We're not afraid of you. There's a difference. You should be afraid, Thrax growled. Jake smiled, and for the first time there was something cold in that smile. Something that made Thrax's predator instinct suddenly wake up and take notice. Commander, I've been watching you this entire meeting. You haven't blinked once when I was speaking. Neither have I. You've been evaluating us, measuring us, deciding if we're prey or threat. That's what predators do. Jake stood slowly, maintaining eye contact. The thing is, we've been doing the same thing. We've been studying your posture, your reactions, your tactical positioning. My security chief has noted that your warriors are standing in a defensive formation, not an offensive one. My analyst has mapped your supply lines and fleet positions. My scientist has identified 3 biological vulnerabilities in Kresh physiology, and I've been counting. Counting what? Thrax demanded. The number of seconds it would take to end this meeting if we chose violence, Jake said softly. We're unarmed as required by treaty, but Sam could kill everyone in this room within 8 seconds using nothing but the dinner utensils. I could do it in 12. We won't, of course. That would be rude. But we could. The room fell absolutely silent. Thrax stared at the human captain, his instincts screaming warnings that his pride wanted to ignore. Jake's smile became warmer again, polite and professional. So here's what's going to happen, Commander. We're going to return to our ship. We're going to consult with Earth Command. And in 48 hours, we're going to give you our formal response. Thank you for dinner. The conversation was genuinely enlightening. He turned and walked toward the door, his team following. Sam Peters was the last to leave, and she gave Thrax a small nod of professional acknowledgement before disappearing through the exit. Thrax stood alone with his warriors, feeling for the first time in his long career like he had been the one being hunted. The message began broadcasting exactly 48 hours after the dinner meeting. Every major communication network in the galaxy received it simultaneously. The Kresh Empire got it. The Galactic Council got it. Every species with access to interstellar communication got it. And everyone stopped what they were doing to watch. The video opened with a simple title screen. No dramatic music. No threatening imagery. Just text that read, Human Response to Kresh Demands a Cultural and Historical Overview. Dr. Ben Foster appeared on screen, sitting in what looked like a classroom. Behind him were charts and diagrams of human evolution. He wore casual clothing and spoke in the calm, measured tone of a professor giving a lecture. Hello, Ben began. My name is Dr. Ben Foster. I'm a xenobiologist specializing in comparative species development. I've been asked to provide context for humanity's response to the Kresh Empire's recent demands. To do that, I need to explain where humans come from and how we think. Please bear with me. This is educational, not threatening. The screen shifted to show images of Earth rotating slowly in space, green and blue with white clouds drifting across the surface. A beautiful world, seemingly peaceful. Earth is classified as a death world by Galactic Council standards, Ben continued. It has extreme temperature variations, violent weather patterns, thousands of species of poisonous plants and animals, and limited resources in many regions. Humans evolved on the plains of Africa approximately 200,000 years ago. We were not the strongest predators on our world. Not even close. Images appeared showing Earth's ancient megafauna, massive predators with teeth and claws, giant herbivores that could crush a human with one step, dangerous animals that dwarfed early humans. Humans survived by developing 3 key advantages, Ben explained. First, we learned to work together more effectively than any other species on our planet. We developed complex language, shared knowledge across generations, and coordinated our actions with precision. Second, we learned to make and use tools. We turned rocks into weapons, animal skins into clothing, and wood into shelters. Third, and most importantly, we became endurance predators. The screen showed footage of ancient human tribes, reconstructed from archaeological evidence, humans running across plains, following animal tracks, moving with steady determination. Endurance hunting is simple but brutal, Ben said. You find prey. You chase it. The prey runs away much faster than you, but you don't stop. You track it. You follow at a steady pace. The prey rests, you keep coming. The prey runs again, you keep following. This continues for hours, sometimes days. Eventually, the prey collapses from exhaustion. You walk up and make the kill. He paused, letting the implications sink in. Humans didn't just use this technique occasionally. It was our primary hunting method for thousands of years. We became so good at it that we could select which specific animal in a herd we wanted. We would mark it and pursue only that one, ignoring all others. The prey would run with its herd, but we would stay focused on our chosen target, for as long as it took. The video shifted to Lieutenant Amy Chen, sitting at a desk with star maps behind her. She looked professional and calm, the very image of a competent analyst. I'm Lieutenant Amy Chen, Strategic Analysis. She introduced herself. Dr. Foster has explained human evolution. I'm here to discuss human military history. Again, this is educational. We want you to understand who you're dealing with. The star maps disappeared, replaced by historical footage from Earth. Grainy, black and white images of soldiers and tanks, then color footage of more recent conflicts. Amy narrated over the visuals. In the 20th century alone, humans fought 2 global wars. World War II, the largest conflict in human history, involved over 100 million military personnel. 70 to 85 million people died. The war lasted 6 years. To support it, entire planetary economies were converted to military production. Factories that made cars began making tanks. Women entered the workforce by the millions. Children collected scrap metal. Every resource was directed toward the war effort. The footage showed massive factories producing weapons, ships, and vehicles at incredible speed. Assembly lines working 24 hours a day. Resources being mobilized on a scale that made the galactic viewers pause in disbelief. This is important to understand, Amy continued. When humans commit to war, we don't just fight with our military, we fight with our entire civilization. Everyone contributes. Every resource is weaponized. Earth has a current population of 11 billion. We have 12 colony worlds with another 6 billion people. If we went to full war mobilization, we could match Kresh military production within 2 years, exceed it within 5. She pulled up different footage showing guerrilla warfare from various Earth conflicts. Soldiers moving through jungles, fighters hiding in urban environments, insurgents using improvised weapons. But we don't prefer large-scale warfare anymore, Amy said. We learned it's inefficient. Modern human military doctrine focuses on asymmetric warfare. We strike from unexpected angles. We target supply lines rather than armies. We gather intelligence, identify weaknesses, and exploit them with precision. The screen showed special forces operations, though with details obscured for security reasons. Fast insertions, quick strikes, immediate extractions. Small teams causing massive disruption. A human strike team of 10 people can disable a military base designed for 1,000, Amy explained. We don't fight fair. We fight smart. We find what you need to function and we take it away. Then we disappear before you can respond. She looked directly at the camera, her expression serious but not hostile. The Kresh Empire has 800 worlds and 10,000 warships, impressive. But you also have supply chains, communication networks, command structures, industrial centers,
fuel depots,
research stations, all of which need to function for your empire to operate, all of which can be targeted. The video shifted again, this time to Security Chief Sam Peters. She stood in what looked like a training facility, her posture relaxed but alert. Sam Peters, Security Chief, she said simply. I'm going to talk about human special operations, but I'll keep this general for security reasons. She gestured to a timeline behind her, showing dates and locations with details blurred out. In the past 200 years, humans have conducted approximately 40,000 special operations missions. These range from hostage rescue to direct action against military targets. Our success rate is classified, but I can tell you that we've gotten very, very good at infiltration, intelligence gathering, and surgical strikes. Sam walked along the timeline, pointing to various events. We've inserted teams into hostile territory by land, sea, air, and space. We've operated in every environment Earth has to offer, from Arctic ice to tropical jungle to desert to urban centers. We've learned to move without being seen, strike without warning, and extract before the enemy knows what happened. She turned back to the camera. The Kresh are formidable warriors in direct combat. No question. But how good are you at preventing infiltration? How secure are your communication networks? How well do you guard against internal sabotage? These are serious questions. Because if this becomes a shooting war, humans won't meet you in open space for honorable combat. We'll be in your systems before you know we're there. The screen split to show multiple feeds simultaneously. Dr. Lisa Grant appeared in one, continuing the briefing. Dr. Lisa Grant, Cultural Liaison. I want to address psychological warfare, because it's relevant to this situation. Humans understand fear. We know how to create it, how to manipulate it, how to use it as a weapon. We also know how to resist it. She pulled up studies and data on human psychological resilience. Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and near-extinction events. We've faced every horror our planet could produce. This has made us remarkably difficult to intimidate. The Kresh reputation is impressive. It works on most species. It doesn't work on us. Lisa leaned forward, her tone becoming more direct. Here's what does work on humans, threatening our families, threatening our home, threatening our freedom. When you make those threats, you don't make us submit. You make us angry. And angry humans are extremely dangerous. The video feeds merged back to a single screen showing Captain Jake Morrison. He sat in the captain's chair on the Meridian's bridge, looking tired but determined. Captain Jake Morrison here. You've heard from my team. They've given you information about human capabilities, human history, human psychology. All of this is meant to provide context for our formal response to the Kresh demands. He straightened in his chair, his expression becoming more formal. The United Earth Government and the Colonial Administration have reviewed the Kresh Empire's demands. We appreciate the clarity of the terms and the time given to respond. However, after careful consideration, we must respectfully decline. The words were polite, but they landed like a hammer blow across the galaxy. No species had ever declined Kresh demands. We decline not out of disrespect but out of principle, Jake continued. Humanity spent thousands of years fighting for self-determination. We've overthrown tyrants, defeated empires, and freed ourselves from oppression repeatedly throughout our history. We didn't do all of that just to surrender our freedom to a new empire, no matter how powerful. He paused, choosing his words carefully. War Commander Thrax, you asked why we show no fear. I'll tell you why. It's because we've been here before. Humans have faced extinction dozens of times. We've fought enemies that seemed unbeatable. We've endured wars that lasted decades. We've survived situations that should have killed us. And every single time, we've found a way to win. Jake's expression softened slightly, becoming almost sad. We don't want war with the Kresh. Genuinely. We respect your species and your accomplishments. In another circumstance, we'd like to be your allies, your trading partners, your friends. We're offering that friendship now. Work with us instead of against us. He let that offer hang for a moment before continuing. But if you choose war, understand what you're choosing. You're not fighting a military. You're fighting a species that has turned warfare into a science. You're fighting people who spent 200,000 years learning to hunt and kill. You're fighting a civilization that mobilizes everything it has when threatened. The captain stood from his chair, the camera following him. We've sent you our educational materials, our history, our capabilities. Study them, understand them, then make your choice. But make it knowing that humans don't bluff. We don't posture. When we say we'll fight, we mean it. And when we fight, we don't stop until we win. He walked closer to the camera, his final words quiet but firm. The Kresh Empire has never lost a war. That's an impressive record. But consider this. You've never lost because you've never fought an enemy like us. Think carefully about whether you want to change that record. The video ended with a final screen showing a simple message. Response delivered. Decision awaits. Across the galaxy, species watched in stunned silence. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos. And on the Kresh homeworld, War Commander Thrax sat in his command center, watching the human message for the third time, trying to understand how prey had suddenly become predator. War Commander Thrax made his decision within 12 hours of receiving the human response. Pride and reputation left him no choice. The Kresh Empire had never backed down from a challenge. To do so now would undermine 800 years of carefully built intimidation. He assembled a battle fleet of 40 warships, the largest force the Kresh had mobilized in over a century, and set course for human space. The Galactic Council watched with a mixture of horror and morbid fascination. Every species expected the same outcome. The humans had been brave, even admirable in their defiance, but bravery didn't stop warships. The Council prepared for the aftermath, already drafting humanitarian aid packages for the human survivors and guidelines for Kresh occupation of Earth. Territories. Nobody expected what happened next, the Kresh Military Command Station. In the outer territories was a massive installation, home to 200 personnel and controlling fleet movements across a dozen sectors. It served as the primary coordination hub for all Kresh military operations in the region. Security was absolute, or so they believed. At exactly 0600 station time, every system in the command center went offline simultaneously. Lights, computers, communication arrays, life support, everything. Emergency power failed to activate. Backup systems didn't respond. The station went dark and silent in the void of space. The creche personnel inside scrambled in the darkness, their infrared vision allowing them to navigate but not to understand what had happened. Officers shouted orders. Technicians ran to manual override stations. Security forces prepared for an attack they couldn't see coming. Then the lights came back on. Standing in the command center, surrounded by 200 confused and increasingly angry creche warriors, stood a human woman, Lieutenant Kate Morgan, United Earth Special Operations. She was alone, unarmed according to the scans, and smiling politely. "Good morning," Kate said in perfect creche language. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance. My name is Lieutenant Kate Morgan. On behalf of the United Earth government, I'm here to inform you that this facility is now under human control." The nearest creche officer lunged at her, claws extended. Kate didn't move. The officer stopped mid-attack, frozen in place. He looked down to see a small device attached to his armor, a human electromagnetic restraint. Similar devices activated across the command center. Every creche warrior found themselves immobilized, unable to move more than a few inches. "We've been here for 3 days," Kate explained, walking calmly through the frozen crowd. "My team infiltrated during your shift change. We came through the life support tunnels, which your security scans apparently don't monitor very well. We've been living in your walls, watching, learning, waiting for the right moment." She gestured to the walls where panels slid open to reveal 6 more human operators. They emerged from hiding spots, each one carrying non-lethal restraint equipment. The entire infiltration team was present, looking as calm as if they were on a training exercise. "We're not going to hurt anyone," Kate continued. "You're all going to be detained, processed, and returned to your empire within the week. But this station is offline for the duration of the current crisis. Consider it a demonstration of human capabilities." The creche commander, immobilized but still conscious, managed to snarl out a question. "How?" "Patience and planning," Kate replied. "We studied your security protocols for 2 months. We identified weaknesses. We trained specifically for this mission. Then we executed. That's what humans do. We don't rush into fights. We prepare, and then we strike when we're ready." Similar events were unfolding across creche space. At the same moment, Kate Morgan revealed herself in the outer territories. Thrax's flagship experienced what his engineers initially believed was a catastrophic reactor malfunction. Alarms blared. Systems failed. The massive warship, pride of the creche fleet, lurched out of faster-than-light travel and tumbled through normal space. The entire battle fleet had to drop from jump to assist their commander's vessel. They converged on a repair station in a secured sector, certain they would find safety and solutions. Instead, they found human combat engineer Chris Bailey sitting in the station's control room, feet up on a console, drinking something hot from a cup. "Afternoon," Chris greeted them over the communication channel. "Before you ask, yes, I disabled your flagship. No, it wasn't a malfunction. Yes, I can fix it. And yes, I've been here for 3 days waiting for you to arrive. Your garrison is taking a nap in the recreation area. Non-lethal sedatives. They'll wake up with headaches but no permanent damage." Thrax's roar of rage echoed through the communication system. Chris just took another sip of his drink. "Here's the thing," the engineer continued, his tone conversational. 3 months ago, you opened trade negotiations with a human merchant vessel. Remember that? They brought interesting technology samples. You showed them your ship designs. Everyone was friendly. That merchant ship included 2 human intelligence officers who spent the entire visit mapping your computer systems and installing backdoors. Chris pulled up a schematic on the screen, showing the complexity of the malware now embedded in creche military networks. "We've had access to your fleet command systems for 3 months. We could have crashed every ship you own. We could have detonated reactors, opened airlocks, disabled weapons. We could have killed thousands of your people without firing a shot. We didn't, because that's not what we want." He stood up, his expression becoming more serious. "But we need you to understand something. When humans say we can fight, we mean it. When we say we've been preparing, we're not exaggerating. And when we offer friendship instead of war, it's not because we're weak. It's because we're strong enough to choose peace." The third event was the one that truly shook the galaxy to its core. The creche homeworld was a secret. In 800 years of expansion, The Kresh had never revealed the location of their origin planet. It was protected by layers of misdirection, false information, and paranoid security. No alien species knew where it was. The Kresh considered this their ultimate defense. If someone attacked their empire, the homeworld would remain safe, ready to launch counterattacks and rebuild. The secret died at 1300 local time when a single human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel in orbit above Kresh Prime. It was the Pathfinder, a diplomatic vessel, not a warship, not a carrier full of troops, just a small exploration ship with a crew of 12, commanded by Alex Torres. It hung there in orbit, weapons powered down, shields at minimum, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Commander Alex Torres of the human vessel Pathfinder," the message began. "We come in peace and mean no harm to the people of Kresh Prime. We are broadcasting our location openly because we wanted to have an honest conversation with your government. We could have arrived undetected, but that seemed rude. Every defense platform in orbit locked onto the human ship. Every missile battery on the planet's surface armed and targeted. Kresh fighters scrambled from bases across the homeworld. The entire planetary defense network activated in seconds, ready to obliterate the intruder. But they hesitated, because the human ship just floated there, making no aggressive moves, broadcasting continuously. "We found your homeworld 3 weeks ago," Alex continued. "It wasn't that difficult, honestly. You've been hiding it well, but humans are good at finding things people don't want found. We're persistence predators, remember? Tracking is what we do." He brought up data on the screen showing the investigation that had led them here. Trade route analysis, fuel consumption patterns, communication lag times, genetic markers in Kresh populations across the Empire. 100 small clues that, when put together, pointed to one specific star system. "We sent probes 2 weeks ago," Alex explained. "Tiny things, barely larger than your hand, coated in stealth materials. They've been mapping your defenses, studying your cities, learning about your world. We know where your government centers are. We know where your military command is located. We know where your industrial sectors operate. We know everything." The camera view shifted to show Alex standing on the Pathfinder's bridge, looking out at the planet below. A beautiful world, blue and green, with cities glowing on the night side. "Home to billions of Kresh, but we didn't attack," Alex said quietly. "We're not here to attack. We're here to make a point. The point is this: humans don't want to destroy you. We want you to understand what you're dealing with. We want you to know that if this becomes a real war, we won't fight it your way. We won't meet your fleets in honorable combat. We'll do what we just did. We'll find what you hide. We'll infiltrate what you protect. We'll strike where you think you're safe." He moved closer to the camera, his expression sincere and slightly sad. "Your empire is impressive. Your warriors are formidable. Your reputation is well-earned. But you've been fighting prey for so long that you've forgotten what it's like to face another predator. Humans are predators too, just a different kind." Alex gestured to someone off camera, and the view expanded to show his entire crew. 12 people. 12 humans who had penetrated to the most protected location in the Kresh Empire. "We're going to leave now," Alex said. "We're going to jump out of your system, return to our space, and wait for your response. Your defense platforms can fire on us if you want, but ask yourselves if that's really the message you want to send. That the Kresh shoot diplomats who come to talk?" The Pathfinder held position for exactly 60 seconds more. Then, without any defensive maneuvers or evasive action, it calmly activated its faster-than-light drive and vanished from Kresh space. Not a single shot was fired, because every Kresh leader watching understood the true message. The humans had found their home world. The humans had reached it undetected. The humans could have struck anywhere at any time but chose not to, and that restraint was more terrifying than any attack could have been. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council chambers fell silent. Species that had considered humans primitive now re-evaluated everything they knew. The Vreen diplomats updated their threat assessment files. The Drell military observers began studying human tactics with new respect. The Shard-Mind collective intelligence debated the implications of a species that could be simultaneously peaceful and deadly. And on his damaged flagship, surrounded by his immobilized fleet, War Commander Thrax finally understood what Captain Jake Morrison had tried to tell him at that dinner. Humans didn't negotiate because they were weak. They negotiated because they were strong enough to choose mercy. And when mercy was refused, they hunted with a patience and precision that made traditional warfare look crude by comparison. For the first time in 800 years, the Kresh Empire faced an enemy they couldn't intimidate, couldn't overpower, and couldn't predict. For the first time in their history, they were the ones being hunted, and the humans were being very polite about it. The meeting request came from War Commander Thrax himself, transmitted through official Galactic Council channels to ensure neutrality. The message was brief and formal. He wished to speak with Captain Jake Morrison again, under the same neutral conditions as before. This time, however, the tone was different. This time, the Kresh were asking, not demanding. Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the Meridian, reading the message for the third time. Lieutenant Amy Chen stood beside him, reviewing tactical updates. The entire galaxy was watching this situation now. Every species wanted to know what would happen next. He's ready to talk for real this time, Amy observed. The question is whether we're ready to let them off the hook. We were never trying to keep them on a hook, Jake replied. We were trying to teach a lesson. The question is whether they learned it. Dr. Ben Foster entered, carrying analysis reports. I've been studying Kresh cultural psychology. Pride is central to their identity. What we did, exposing their vulnerabilities, finding their homeworld. It's deeply humiliating by their standards. They have two options now. Fight to the death to restore honor, or adapt and find a new understanding of honor. Which one they choose determines everything. Jake nodded slowly. Set up the meeting. Same location, same terms. But this time, let's bring everyone. I want Thrax to see what humanity looks like when we're not trying to intimidate anyone. When we're just being ourselves. The neutral station was the same as before, but the atmosphere was completely different. War Commander Thrax arrived with only 2 guards instead of 6. His armor was formal but less aggressive. His posture, while still proud, lacked the overt dominance display from their first encounter. He looked like a warrior who had been humbled but not broken. Jake Morrison was already waiting, but this time his full senior staff accompanied him. Amy Chen, Ben Foster, Lisa Grant, Sam Peters, Ryan Cooper. Also present were Lieutenant Kate Morgan, fresh from her operation in the Outer Territories, Chris Bailey still wearing his engineer's jumpsuit, and Alex Torres, who had flown directly from his mission to Kresh Prime. 9 humans, each one representing a different aspect of human capability. Thrax entered and stopped, his eyes moving from one human to another. Each one met his gaze calmly, respectfully, without fear or hostility. They were warriors, every one of them, but they carried it differently than the Kresh. There was no need to prove anything. They had already proven everything that mattered. Commander Thrax, Jake greeted him, inclining his head. Thank you for coming. Please sit. We have much to discuss. This time Thrax sat without hesitation. His guards remained standing but positioned themselves less aggressively than before. The war commander looked tired, as if the events of the past week had aged him. I have come to end this conflict. Thrax began, his voice formal. The Kresh Empire withdraws all demands on human territory. We acknowledge that humanity is not prey. We seek peace terms. Jake listened carefully. Before we discuss terms, I need to understand something. What changed your mind? Was it the demonstrations of capability? The infiltrations? Finding your homeworld? Thrax was quiet for a long moment, considering his answer. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight that hadn't been there before. It was the restraint. My warriors were captured but not killed. My ships were disabled but not destroyed. Your vessel reached Kresh Prime but did not attack. At every moment you showed that you could have caused massive death, but you chose not to. He looked directly at Jake, and for the first time, there was genuine respect in his eyes. Kresh culture values strength. We respect warriors, but we have never encountered a species strong enough to choose mercy when they could choose victory. That level of control, that confidence, it is not something we have seen before. It is not something we know how to fight against. Dr. Lisa Grant leaned forward, her expression gentle. Commander, can I offer a perspective? Humans don't see mercy as weakness. We see it as the ultimate expression of strength. Anyone can destroy. Creation requires real power. Building peace after proving you could wage war. That's what truly strong civilizations do. Your species has been strong for a long time, Ben Foster added. You've built an empire that lasted 800 years. You've become wealthy and powerful, but now you have a choice. You can continue being strong in the old way, through intimidation and dominance, or you can become strong in a new way, through cooperation and mutual benefit. Thrax listened, his scales shifting colors as he processed the words. You offer alliance? After we threatened your worlds? We offer friendship, Jake corrected. There's a difference. An alliance is strategic. Friendship is personal. We want the Kresh as friends, not just allies. We want to learn from you. We want you to learn from us. We want to build something together that's better than what either of us could build alone. Amy Chen pulled up star maps, showing both human and Kresh territories. Look at our positions in the galaxy. We're neighbors. We share border regions. We have complementary resources and technologies. You have 800 years of expansion experience. We have innovation and adaptability. Together we could be formidable. But you defeated us, Thrax said, confusion evident in his voice. We threatened you, and you defeated us without battle. Why offer friendship to defeated enemies? Sam Peters spoke up, her tone matter-of-fact. Because you're not our enemies. You were our opponents in a disagreement. There's a difference. Enemies want to destroy each other. Opponents just want different things. Now that we've established mutual respect, we can work together instead of against each other. Kate Morgan, who had infiltrated the Kresh command station, added her perspective. Commander, I spent 3 days living in your station's walls. I watched your people work. They're dedicated, professional, loyal. Those are qualities humans respect. We don't want to destroy that. We want to work alongside it, Chris Bailey nodded agreement. Same with your ships. Beautiful engineering. Different philosophy than human designs, but effective. I'd love to do a technical exchange. Learn from your methods. Share some of ours. Think of what we could build if we combined knowledge. Alex Torres, who had reached Kresh Prime, spoke last. I saw your home world. It's stunning. The cities are impressive. The culture is rich. I'd like to go back someday as a visitor, not an infiltrator. Maybe share a meal. Learn about Kresh history and art. Show you some of ours. That's what neighbors should do. Thrax looked around the table at these 9 humans, each one deadly in their own way, each one offering genuine friendship despite having every reason not to. I do not understand your species. You have power but do not use it for domination. You win but do not press advantage. You fight but prefer peace. This is not logical by Kresh understanding. Jake smiled, the expression warm and authentic. Maybe that's the point. Different species think differently. Humans learned a long time ago that domination is unstable. Empires built on fear eventually collapse. But relationships built on mutual respect, those last. Those grow stronger over time. He gestured to his team. Every person at this table could have killed you during our first meeting. Sam wasn't exaggerating about the 8 seconds, but we didn't want to kill you. We wanted to talk to you. We still do. Because talking leads to understanding, and understanding leads to cooperation, and cooperation makes everyone stronger. Ryan Cooper, the tactical officer, pulled up economic projections. Look at these numbers. If we establish open trade, both our economies grow by projected 15% within 5 years. If we share technology, both our militaries become more effective. If we coordinate exploration, we map new territories faster. Everyone benefits. But trust must be earned, Thrax said slowly. How do I know humans will not use this peace to gather intelligence for future attack? You don't, Jake admitted honestly. Trust always involves risk. But consider this. We already gathered the intelligence. We already know your weaknesses. We could attack right now if we wanted. We're choosing not to. That choice, repeated over time, becomes trust. Admiral Susan Price appeared on a communication screen joining from Earth Command. War Commander Thrax, I'm Admiral Price, Senior Military Authority for Human Forces. Captain Morrison has briefed me on these discussions. I want to add official support for his approach. Humanity is prepared to sign a formal peace treaty, establish trade relations, and begin cultural exchanges immediately. She paused, her expression serious. But I want to be clear about something. This peace is genuine, but it's not unconditional. If the Kresh Empire threatens humanity or our allies in the future, we will respond. Not with restraint this time. With everything we have. The demonstrations you've seen were carefully controlled. A real human war is something nobody wants to see. Not you, not us, not the galaxy. Understood, Thrax replied, respect clear in his voice. Kresh Empire accepts peace terms. We will withdraw all claims. We will establish trade. We will share knowledge. And we will not threaten human worlds again. He stood, and this time his posture was different. Still proud, still strong, but without the need to dominate. I have one request. I wish to learn from humans. Your methods of warfare. Your strategies. Your thinking. Will you teach us? Jake stood as well, extending his hand in the human gesture of agreement. We'll teach you everything you want to know. With one condition, you teach us too. About Kresh tactics, about your history, about your culture. Real friendship goes both ways. Thrax looked at the extended hand, understanding the gesture from cultural briefings. He reached out and clasped Jake's hand, his larger grip careful not to crush the human's smaller one. Agreed. We will learn from each other. The formal treaty was signed within 3 days. The Galactic Council witnessed the ceremony, still processing what they had seen. The Kresh Empire, undefeated for 800 years, had not just made peace with humanity. They had asked to be taught by them. Other species began reassessing their own relationships with humanity. The Vreen requested diplomatic meetings to improve relations. The Drell invited human observers to their military academies. The Shardmind proposed scientific collaboration. Across the galaxy, the perception of humanity shifted overnight. 3 months later, Captain Jake Morrison stood in his office on the Meridian, now permanently assigned as humanity's primary liaison to the Kresh Empire. The walls were covered with maps showing new trade routes, exchange programs, and joint exploration missions. On his desk sat a gift from Thrax, a Kresh weapon traditionally given to respected warriors. Admiral Price appeared on his communication screen. Final reports are in from the Council. 42 species have requested improved relations with humanity. 15 have asked for training programs based on human methods. The entire galactic political structure is shifting. That wasn't the goal, Jake said quietly. We just wanted the Kresh to leave us alone. Maybe not the goal, but it's the result, the Admiral replied. The galaxy learned something important. They learned that humans are not to be trifled with. But more importantly, they learned that humans prefer cooperation to conflict. That combination of capability and restraint, that's rare. That's valuable. Jake looked at the Kresh weapon on his desk, thinking about the journey from that first threatening message to this moment of genuine friendship. Admiral, what do you think would have happened if we had just surrendered to their initial demands? We'd be subjects of the Kresh Empire, she replied, and the galaxy would still think humans were just another prey species. Instead, we're the species that taught the galaxy's apex predators about mercy. And changed galactic politics forever, Jake added. And changed galactic politics forever, the Admiral agreed. Not bad for a species that's only been here 3 years. The communication ended and Jake returned to his work. Reports to file. Meetings to schedule. A dinner with Thrax planned for next week, where they would continue building the friendship that had started with a threat and evolved into mutual respect. Outside his window, the stars of the galaxy glittered in the void. Somewhere out there, other species were watching humanity, reassessing their assumptions, learning the lesson the Kresh had learned. Humans didn't negotiate because they couldn't fight. Humans negotiated because when they did fight, they fought with patience, precision, and overwhelming effectiveness. They were persistence predators who had evolved to turn every challenge into an opportunity for learning and growth. They were a species that preferred peace but was fully capable of war. They were cooperative hunters who worked together more effectively than any other known species. And most importantly, they were a species that understood the true meaning of strength. Real strength wasn't the ability to destroy your enemies. Real strength was the wisdom to turn enemies into friends, to choose peace from a position of power, to hunt politely. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not even just another predator. Humanity was something new, something the galaxy had never encountered before. A species that combined the patience of eternal hunters with the wisdom to know when not to hunt, and that made them the most dangerous and most valuable allies the galaxy had ever known. The day the galaxy understood humans didn't negotiate because they were weak. They negotiated because they were strong enough to choose kindness. And when kindness was refused, they hunted with a politeness that made their power all the more terrifying. They said please and thank you, right up until the moment they won. That was the human way. Polite, professional, patient, and utterly unstoppable.